Hey guys, thanks for tuning in to Double Tap on YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. In this final clip from this week's episode, we field your questions and ask how the metaverse might be useful for someone with visual impairments.
You're watching Double Tap TV.
Ask us anything. That is the theme of this week's show. Mark, we've got an interesting video question now from longtime viewer Camille Savoy.
In your expert opinion, do you think that the metaverse will someday be used to improve the lives of the visually impaired community?
I think this might be where I get to phone a friend as well, and I think I have just the person in mind. Chris Matthew, everybody, expert on call for all things metaverse. Chris, it's Mark and Steven and Shaun. Is this a bad time?
Dudes, it's never a bad time to talk with you guys.
Okay, we got a question here from the audience. Let me play that question for you right here.
Do you think that the metaverse will someday be used to improve the lives of the visually impaired community?
Yeah, so like with accessibility on web pages, like that's all been solved. Lots of companies, in that space helping make lives easier. But in the metaverse world, it's a whole new experience. It's 3D. There's nothing that explains, there's a door to your right, what the room looks like. If you're moving around, it's all like arrow keys, if you're in VR, the controllers, that you don't have to be in VR to be in the metaverse, but you bump into things and nothing tells you yet that, there's a pool table in front of you or whatever. You have to kind of keep moving around, and there's nothing that's giving you feedback yet either to say, you can select the door on the right or move forward. So I think there's a huge opportunity for an accessibility company to come along and solve that, just like everyone did the Web 2, solve it for the Web 3 and the metaverse.
That is Chris Matthew, our go-to when it comes to all things metaverse, Stephen.
Yeah, that is a brilliant answer, Chris. Thank you so much for that. Now, look, we've got time for one more, and it's a video question from Damash Thomas from Alabama.
Get into the gear used to produce Double Tap TV and Double Tap On Air, the weekly or Monday through Saturday podcast. The microphones that you guys use, cameras use when you're doing video, audio interfaces, headphones, lights. The lights are so important. Cameras, again, something very difficult for me to locate, a decent camera. So just curious to know what sort of equipment and software goes into producing the content that you all are creating. Especially interested to know as well, if you're traveling and you have to still produce a show, what would you take with you, or what's in that travel bag? What sort of microphone, what sort of on-the-go camera do you take? So appreciate you guys, appreciate what you do each week, and appreciate answering this question for me.
Wow, where do we start, Mark? When it comes to the kit bag, we could probably be here for the next 3 hours explaining that, but let's start in the studio. So, let's start with your setup, Mark. What have you got in front of you right now?
Well, we've got similar setups here. Yeah. So our main camera is a Sony A6500. It's now probably about 5 or 6 years old, but this is a solid camera. It records up to 4K 60 frames per second. It's our main go-to camera, which we each have a teleprompter in front of. We don't always use that prompter, but it tends to be good for handy for notes and stuff like that. Overhead, we've got a Sennheiser MK416 microphone on both our sides. And we also have some overhead cameras as well. I've got a Sony ZVE1, I believe it's called, that I use for my overhead camera when I want to show some hand stuff. And really, that's really the main kit in terms of producing the TV show. If you want to go portable, I think that's a whole other topic for another show, which we can definitely get into. But Stephen, you've got some other kind of gizmos going on there as well that I don't.
Yeah, and I want to mention about the radio show, because I have, over the last few years, really simplified my setup to the point that I literally now just have one thing, and that is a Shure MV7 microphone connected up to my computer, to my Mac Mini. And, Shaun, it's really interesting, isn't it, how things have changed, because I look at your setup and you've still got the analog mixing desk. Tell us about that and the stuff you've got there.
Yep. Let me just say this first, that you're using that setup currently. Tomorrow it could all change. I know you, Stephen Scott.
This is true, yes.
Tomorrow it's going to change, Shaun. It's going to change tomorrow.
Definitely.
I know that.
But I'm using an Allen & Heath Z1, Z10 mixer. And I want to mention the Insta360 Link webcam that I've got as well. I think it's fantastic because it will follow you around. It's on a motorized gimbal. It will zoom out to the right level, either just your head or your half torso or your full body. I think it's a fantastic camera for the visually impaired. That's the Insta360 Link.
And you know what, guys? We're going to get into this in more detail. There's a show coming up in the new year that's going to talk all about our setups, both audio and video-wise. And we'll definitely, Dimash, we'll definitely get into the kit bag on the go, because there are so many cool tools at our disposal these days that aren't that expensive. Like getting into podcasting, getting into doing videos is not expensive anymore. The barrier to entry is a lot easier, but we will definitely get to that. Shaun, thank you so much for being here. Happy New Year to everybody. Stephen, of course, Happy New Year to you. You guys at home, you want to get in touch, you want to send us your information, here's how to do it. Thanks for watching.
Thanks for watching Double Tap. Send us your feedback to feedback@doubletaponair.com. Leave us a voicemail at 1-877-803-4567. Hosted by Mark Aflalo in Montreal and Stephen Scott in Glasgow. Producer Mark Aflalo. Editing and graphics Jordan Steves. Voiceover Anna Vicino. Social media Wendy Kaufman. Integrated Described Video Specialist M. Williams. Supervising Producer Michelle Dudas. Manager Programming AMI TV Lizanne Gagne. Director Content Development and Production Karen Nye. VP Content Development and Programming John Melville. President and CEO David Arrington. Copyright 2022 Accessible Media Inc.